Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Hello and welcome. As the title states, when does life really start for you? I would like to share a quote by a Russian author called Dostoevsky. And it goes like this: Suffering is the sole origin of consciousness. Consciousness is the greatest misfortune for man, yet I know man prizes it and would not give it up for any satisfaction. To me, this was the answer that I was looking for almost 20 years. So the question is like this: when does life really start for you? I would like to hear some of the guests' answers. So please, if anyone would like to give me an answer, when does life start for you?
When you realize your purpose.
That's a good answer.
Um, when you met your goal,
Okay, when you met your goal, when you realize your purpose.
when you wake up in the morning with happiness, with kids happiness.
Okay, when you wake up in the morning and your kids are happy.
No, the happiness of the kids. I'm happy.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice.
When you feel, when you find hope, even when the clothes are down.
Okay, that's really great. So we just heard some examples of when does life really start. Some of you, go ahead.
Life starts when you become responsible.
Some really good answers. I can see a lot of you have this perspective of when does life really start. So I had this question in about 2 years ago, and I started to ask my friends, hey man, when does life really start for you? Someone said, obviously at birth. That's when life starts. And I was like, no, you don't get it. When does life really start for you? When do you get that moment of, that life starts? And another friend of mine said, when I get a job. Another said, when I get married. So the answers are between financial freedom, marriage, and general milestones in life. So these are mostly good examples, and I want to talk about the bad examples, the examples that no one talks about. So when does life really start for you? It like when it starts, three things happen. Okay, so two of them is like this: you go in a really high state of success, from small successes into a really high state, or from low losses into a really big loss. And how does that happen? You know, most of us, our life starts are at some subjective milestones that we already set. However, what about the moment when you study in college and you graduate with no colleges accepting you? That moment is when your life starts. Or how about when you become broke, no money? That also is when your life starts. What about when you get disabled? You can't move. You got an injury. I've had that personally, a knee surgery actually. And when does your life start? For example, when you have a disease like a heart attack. You see these moments that I'm talking about. There are some good examples and there are some bad examples, and it really depends on how do you recover from that and how do you react to that. So the third thing, which is the most important thing in my speech, what happens when these events occur is known as consciousness. So for me personally, I felt like I've been alive for only 2 to 3 years. Like in the last 20 years, I was not alive. I was just a non-playable character or a side character in a movie. So why is that? That's the question I'm asking tonight. Why is that? And really, I think I've reached that answer, and you might correct me if I'm wrong. I think, relating to the quote that I said, that consciousness is the sole origin, that suffering is the sole origin of consciousness, said by Dostoevsky. So when you get that moment That is when your life really begins. And we have multiple beginnings. Whether good ones, whether bad ones, we do have multiple beginnings. For example, each state of suffering you reach is marks a new beginning in your whole life. So, did I really just start living 2 years ago and the past 20 years I've been just living as a character? That's it? Actually, no. I've been living in the past 20 years. However, when you hit that mark, okay, when you become suddenly disabled, you're 18 years old, you can't even walk. You can't even depend on yourself. You need assistance, you need treatment, you need surgeries. That is a moment of waking up. That's what I call awakening. That's what I call consciousness. That's when you become awake. That's when you realize, okay, something really big changed in my life. Something happened. I need to do something about it. It can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, but I need to do something about it. Why is that? Have you ever asked yourself, why do you need to make that decision? Why does it pop in your head? What's the reason exactly? Well, the answer that I found is that when you're in the state of discomfort, when you're in the state of danger, when you realize something really big changed in your life, that triggers an instinct of reaction. It goes way back to the beginning of humanity. Whenever you don't have food or you realize that you're in a really critical state, something comes up. And that thing, some people might say it's hope. However, I say it's the moment where you become conscious, the moment when you wake up. To conclude my speech, I would like to read the quote yet again and see if you agree. Suffering is the sole origin of consciousness. Consciousness is the greatest misfortune for man. Yet I know man prizes it and would not give it up for any satisfaction. Thank you all.